this week on the Retirement Quick Tips podcast, I'm sharing with you 5 expensive things that I bought last year in 2024 that were worth the splurge. Today, I'm talking about how I bought 2 expensive. Now, this is relative because handbags, 2 expensive handbags. And it's all relative because you could buy a designer handbag and easily spend thousands and thousands of dollars. And that's not what I'm talking about. I talked earlier this week about how an expensive designer handbag is something that it's one of those things I feel weird about. I want one. I actually do. Because some of them are absolutely gorgeous. And I don't have anything against anybody who chooses to spend thousands of dollars on a handbag if it fits within your budget. Although statistically, most people who buy really expensive handbags, they're broke. They all the designer stuff that you see, they can't afford it. And that to me is sad. So I definitely value my long-term financial security over short-term spending money, having fun. I don't see it as a good way to spend money on an accessory, like a really expensive accessory, thousands of dollars. I apply the same principle to jewelry. I really don't wear a lot of jewelry. I usually wear a pair of earrings. I wear the same necklace every day. I don't take it off at all. I occasionally wear a watch and I wear my wedding ring. I do like rings though. So like sometimes I'll wear other rings, but if you look in my jewelry collection, not much there. I have a handful of different things. I don't wear costume. I got rid of like all my inexpensive costume jewelry and I don't buy costume jewelry. So anything I wear is like pearls or gold or something good quality, but I don't own much of it because I don't wear a lot of it. So spending thousands and thousands of dollars on something like jewelry or a handbag is just not something that I value. And partly because I want to live more simply if it's not something I need, if it's just something like an accessory. I think it's hard for me to justify the purchase that is a good reason. It's more about consumerism or kind of like a keeping up with the Joneses or sort of an ego boost. I think that it would be hard to take that out of the equation. Because if you know brands, if you know certain designer brands, like I saw this lady, she's a gal that I know, and I saw this beautiful designer handbag that she had, and I loved the color. I loved everything about it. But it is funny. It does send a message, just like any other status symbol, a watch, a car. It sends a certain message. And I don't necessarily want to send those messages. So I bought a couple of new purses this year. Now, what's interesting is I have 4 kids. My youngest is still in diapers. So I have to be very practical. I can't buy these like cute little handbags. I have to buy like big backpacks or giant totes to fit all snacks and diapers and wipes and all that kind of stuff I still have to carry around. But I bought 2 what I would consider expensive handbags this year. One was actually a smaller crossbody bag, black. Oh my gosh, I can't even remember what brand it is. I bought it from Nordstrom online. I looked at it was $328 that I spent on this crossbody bag. Also this year, I spent $268 on a leather tote. So all in with new handbag purchases this year, I spent about $600 on handbags, which is way less than like the $3,000, $5,000 that I would spend if I was buying a designer bag. And one of the things I like about these bags, one of them, I can't even remember what brand it is because it does have a little logo on it, but it's not obvious. And then the other one has no logo at all, which I love. They're both really versatile. I use them often. The leather tote, I use that for work every day. It's great. It's like the perfect size. I use it for travel, going to work. It fits all my stuff in there. They're both very classic. One of them's black. The smaller one, crossbody bag, is black. The other tote that I use every day is more like a neutral tan khaki kind of color. So it goes with everything. I don't swap them out. They're just day in, day out. But over the last couple of years, I've been way more intentional about trying to buy higher quality items. And so that's what I value. I want to buy, again, this goes back to what I talked about yesterday. It's not necessarily about spending the money. It is if you can't afford it. You want to make sure it fits with your budget and you can afford it. And if you can, it has to also align with your values. And one of my values is simplicity. And so I don't want to have to buy. I've bought so many cheap handbags from wherever, Target, TJ Maxx, and nothing wrong with those. But what I find is that the longevity is not there. The strap will break or the stitching will start to fray after just a few months. And I don't switch out my handbags very often. And so, I'll use a handbag for a month, 2, 3 months straight without changing it at all. They do get a lot of wear and tear, and I want it to last a long time. If I buy a bag and I spend $268 on a leather tote and I'm using it every day, I expect that it's going to last 2, 3, 4, 5 years as long as I take decent care of it, maybe longer. And so over the last couple of years, I've tried to be more intentional about buying higher quality items, not anything too trendy, especially for like things I wear to work, for shoes, handbags. I might spend more money up front if I do this, but if I'm being thoughtful and I'm buying classic pieces versus trendy items, if I'm paying attention to the quality of the material and the construction, I've started to do that a lot more too, especially with clothes and fabrics, like buying more natural fibers, less polyester, especially with sweaters, like cotton or even cashmere. Yeah, you'll spend a lot more on cashmere up front, but if it's good quality and you take good care of it, it should last a lot longer than maybe 1 or 2 seasons, which I find is all I get out of most of the sweaters I buy with materials that aren't as good quality. So going back to simplicity, I want something to last a long time. Even if it costs way less, I'd rather buy something that I can use and keep and not have to rebuy 5 more times because I bought the less expensive item that didn't have the longevity, the quality, and will wear out faster. So that's not always easy because I will actually probably stain, or actually one of my kids will stain my clothes. That's usually where things fall apart. It's not that the clothing item itself fell apart, it got stained. So I do still have a hard time justifying spending money on clothes, spending a lot of money on clothes. I won't do that. But if it's an accessory like jewelry or shoes or purse, something less likely to get stained, I'm way more concerned about longevity and buying something quality that will last. So that's kind of the value driver behind some of those types of purchases. All right, that's it for today. Thank you so much for listening. My name is Ashley Michike, and this is the Retirement Quick Tips Podcast.